everybody. Welcome back to the Coffee Breath Podcast. My name is Taylor. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for coming to hang out with me today. So if you do not follow this podcast on Instagram, I think that you should. I put a lot of hard work into it so far, and I think that it's pretty cute. So link in the description at Coffee Breath Pod. But I put out a post that we're doing a new segment on this podcast, and it is going to be somewhat helpful advice because I'm no professional. I only have the experiences that I've lived in my life, and that I feel like I can, I feel like I have lived a life. And I feel like I'm great at giving advice, not the best at taking it. Like from others, I am, but like following my own advice, I'm not the best. I'm doing a lot better than I used to. But I used to be the queen of giving it out, but can't receive it. But I put out that, if you are interested, if you have a need or a question or just a ponder about life or anything at all, you are more than welcome to submit that. You can DM me on Instagram. You can comment on YouTube. You can email. I'll put that in the description as well. Believe it's coffeebreathpod@gmail.com. Totally anonymous unless you're like, hey, no, I want a shout out. Put my handle in there. Let me get some followers. Whatever. Then you're more than welcome to. Or you can come up with a cute, creative, or funny pseudonym. Or if you don't, I'll come up with one for you. But until then, I took some submissions from Reddit. This is the Reddit LifeAdvice. So let's just jump right into it. So a little heavier one to begin with, but let's just start off with a little heavier one. Where is the joy? I told you. I've reached a point in my life where I'm genuinely asking, what is the point of all of it? I have no kids, don't particularly want them either, as I have a temper like my dad, and statistics show I'm likely to treat my kids like my dad treated me. I've been in a relationship for 10 years, and that's ... all right. I'm trapped in a hamster wheel of being a skivvy at work, invisible at home, dutiful to my folks, and utterly empty and joyless inside. Numb to the point where I go picking fights just to feel something. Angry because all I can feel is emptiness and sadness, that I have no particular skill or money to change my circumstances, which leads me back to being numb. Any idea what the point of all of this is? And again, unloading a very, very packed box right here. So first off, starting back at the beginning, this person has reached a point in their life. They don't know what the point of it all is. They don't want kids because their dad has a temper and they don't like the way that they were treated, and they are having that fear, which is totally 100% normal to have. They're having that fear of, oh shit, I'm going to treat my kids like my parents treated me. Whether that's the good, more positive, nurturing way, or maybe the more bad, not so good way, which is very unfortunate. I think that all of this needs to be talked to a therapist. But again, somewhat helpful advice. Plus, you're putting this on the internet. You're just asking random people to give advice. So I feel like if that's what you're doing, then I can give my 2 cents, Plus, you're never going to listen to this, whoever the user Joyless Wonder is. Well, there you go. You're just perpetuating that you're joyless, which I get. I'm one of those depressed people that I make those self-depreciating jokes. But because it makes me feel better in the moment, it's like coping skill. Yet, it perpetuates this negative idea, this cognitive behavioral, you have to learn these correct skills. So, you cannot be... Okay, so keep moving forward. They've been in a relationship for 10 years, and that's ... all right. if you can hear that, the cat is crying outside the door. You can't get in here. I'm recording. I'm sorry. And then they're going to start clawing at the door. I apologize. So he doesn't seem very thrilled or, happy in the relationship because it's just that's ... all right. I mean, 10 years is a long time. Sometimes you lose the spark. You have to bring bit of that spiciness back. But sometimes you also just kind of grow apart from people, and that's okay too. They're trapped in a hamster wheel at work. They're invisible at home. Well, if you feel invisible at home, have you tried talking? Sometimes, and I am so guilty of this, sometimes we feel like everyone needs to be able to read our minds, right? But the truth of the matter is that we can't read minds. I mean, I feel like some people out there can, and that terrifies me. But for the most part, I don't think people really read minds. So we have to be the ones. Because sometimes, what if the other person doesn't even realize that there's something wrong? If you're kind of silent about it, if you're not speaking up on the matter and expressing how you feel, no matter what that is, then the other person might be totally oblivious that there's even an issue or a problem. So being able to put your ego aside maybe and be like, hey, you know what? This is what's going on. This is how I feel. And then all you can really do is go from there, whether they want to involve themselves and talk and be a part of that, or they might just be like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. This isn't anything that I signed up for or whatever. And they can make that choice, or whatever the conversation could possibly be from then on. Please, they're putting their paws underneath the door. Oh, that's so scary. It reminds me of the movie Signs. Stop. Yeah, you have to be able to put it out there that something's going on. And then if you are expressing yourself and you're like, and maybe every other day you're like, this is how I feel, this is what's going on, and you still feel invisible and you feel like you're not getting the support and the communication that you need, then maybe after a certain amount of time and a certain amount of times that this happens, then I think that it's time to walk away, And, that's okay. That's totally okay. But just make sure, I guess the whole point of that blurb was just make sure that you're not making yourself invisible. Because I'm great at that. Oh, I'm so stealthy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I put myself out there like this and I'm loud and sometimes I love the spotlight, but for the most part, I'm great at making myself like stealth mode, camouflage, blend in, fly on the wall, especially in relationships. And then we can point the finger and be like, they don't even understand. Well, it's like, yeah, they don't understand what's going on because I haven't even I won't tell them what's going on. So make sure that you're doing that. The work thing, work's work. Sometimes you're able to have the financial backing to be like, you know what, I'm just going to leave. I'm done with this job. I'm wiping my hands clean of it and I'm gone. On to the next thing. You should probably have a job lined up. But again, with that if you do have that kind of more financial lenience, then you can, take your time finding a job or whatever. But yeah, but some people do feel like if some people get stuck in jobs, it's all that they have. But I feel like it's almost like with dating, little different, actually totally different. But it's almost like dating when some people feel like, well, I'm not even happy in this relationship anymore, but like I'm never going to find someone. There's like 8 million people in the world. I mean, I don't know about now. Maybe there's like 6 million people in the world. Due to the fucking pandemic that is going on, wear your goddamn masks. Wash your hands and all that jazz. So try your best to social distance. But, oh shit. See, now I went on that and I'm like, what the fuck was I talking about? Oh, but with dating, it's like jobs, the metaphor with jobs and dating and stuff. It's like, dude, there's millions of people in the world. You think that you're not going to find another one? You will find another one. And then you know what? That one might not probably work out. And then after that one, you're going to find another one. Just like remember your last relationship and you were like, I'm never going to find someone. And then you did. And now you're doing that cycle all over again. Jobs are kind of like that too. But again, I get it with when there's families, when there's debt, sometimes you get stuck. But, I don't know. I'm kind of one of those people now in this phase of my life where I'm like, you know what? If it's not bringing me joy, fuck this. I'm out. Like, I literally can't, or else my mental health and my physical health is going to decline so fast. And I'm trying my best with my mental health and mental illnesses or whatever, to you know, to try to have the best life that I can. And I'm just why is this so hard to say? Life is so hard, and I'm constantly in that struggle of like, okay, no, I'm going to put on my best foot forward today, and I'm going to wake up to the sunshine, not, you know, to the darkness. And but if I'm constantly miserable, then it's like, what's the fucking point? And if you're in a job or a relationship or a friendship or whatever it is, if it's constantly making you miserable, in my world, I got to get the fuck out, or else like I might not make it. But you know, again, everyone's different, and that's just a tangent about the inner ramblings of my fucked up brain. I know my mom. I'm sorry, Mom. You're probably rolling your eyes. You hate it when I talk about myself like that, and I know that I shouldn't. But then I'm also like, I'm just kind of in acceptance, you know. Because I know sometimes people get a little like, oh, I hate when they talk about themselves like that. But sometimes I'm like, you know what? I've got mental disorders, and that's okay. And I'm doing my best to work on them. Stop clawing through the door. This is like The Shining. Oh my God, is this actually the stage of 2020 of the pandy when The Shining is gonna fucking happen? No, that's gonna happen in the fall and the winter, because we're all going to get cabin fever, and then The Shining, we're all going to Jack Nicholson out, you know? Oh God, I hope not. Anyways, yeah, so sometimes work, you can't, who knows what you can do with that. Relationship, I already said, if it's not working for either one of you anymore and you still feel invisible after expressing yourself, get out. Do what you need to do to bring yourself joy. You keep saying your life is joyless. You need to seek out that joy and bring it to you. Not saying that it's like an external thing, because of course it's within us. But you know, you need to go do things that bring you joy to ignite that spark within you, and then you'll be just, you know, carrying that flame around, if that makes sense. But yeah, you go around picking fights with people. I used to do that in relationships. It's also all that I knew was to pick fights, because I always dated guys that were like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're ugly, you're fat, you're this, you know. So of course we were fighting all the time. But then sometimes when I would feel so empty or bored, or like this person said, they just wanted to feel something because they're so numb. Yeah, I definitely picked fights for that, because it's like at least where there's a little bit of heat and passion. It's the wrong kind of heat and passion, but at least there was some sort of something, you know. Or I just felt like I had to get something out of me, even if, like, maybe I picked a fight with a significant other or a friend, not really with a friend, but more of a significant other with a boyfriend, because, you know, I would nitpick something and I would pick that out about them and I would start a fight about that. But really what I'm upset about is that I feel so empty in my life, But because I can't really wrap my mind around that, or I don't have that mental capacity and the knowledge of that yet, and really a deeper understanding of who I am and who I, am in here in my mind, I would just, it's almost like a little kid. They don't understand what they're feeling. So then they're just like, and they flip their plate and then they start crying. And it's like, well, what, were you really mad at the plate of, mac and cheese? No, but you're so angry, or you're feeling something, you don't know what you're feeling and you don't know how to express it, that you just lash out at some external thing. So that's not good. And anger is most of the time a deep root emotion of sadness. So when I dated a guy who was angry all the time. Well, I know it sounds like all of them were to an extent, but one was really, really angry, and I knew that it was deep down is because they were so, so sad, probably from childhood traumas, a non-acceptance of themselves, but they would always lash out in anger. But I always knew the underlying emotion of it was sadness. And then I was able to kind of understand them a little bit more, because I was able to kind of flip it around and see, oh, you're not just being an asshole to be an asshole. You're an asshole because you're just sad, and then that kind of makes me sad. And then you can kind of understand people a little bit more. But yeah, that sucks. And it sucks, especially, and this was posted 4 days ago, and we're how many months into this pandy? So it's really hard to say, hey, you know what? Just get up and quit your job, sell all your stuff, and move to Colorado, That's hard. Or like find new friends, or like go on a date. You can't really do that in the pandy. But maybe you can Zoom call or FaceTime, or just call up a therapist, or if you feel comfortable, take the safety precautions, go into the office and just talk to someone, because it just sounds like there's a lot of, especially childhood trauma in there from your dad and his temper, because probably his parents and his father had a temper, and so then you just bring that down, just like this person said, I don't want to do that to my kids, so go fix your shit. And that's all we can ever do, because we all create our own issues in our lives. Now, some of them are different. I'm not talking about like wars or fucking like viral or racial fucking, pandemics and things like that. That's totally different. But what I mean of like, we just in our own little lives, in a generalization, I should say, we like create all these experiences, Does that make sense? I hope so. I hope I'm not just like spewing out really like toxic advice, because I don't know. I don't think so. Let me know. I hope I'm not. But if you're in a job that you hate and that's making you miserable, and then you come home and then maybe you're talking to your wife and you're like, just so miserable, and you just dump your misery onto your partner, and then your partner's, all they see is you being miserable, and then the relationship becomes miserable, and then everything around you is just fucking miserable. So maybe if you can just take one aspect of your life and just kind of tweak it a little bit and remove yourself from that misery, find a new job, find a new relationship, but before you do any of that, go to therapy for sure. Okay. Yeah. So the best comment under here was, have you shared any of this with your partner? If you've been together 10 years, maybe they can help. That's hard. That's hard. 10 years is a long time, but a lot of people just will settle, and then they just let time go by. And then the more time that goes by, the more that they're in it. And then then it's like going deeper down the tunnel, like the hole, you're digging yourself into a hole. And then by the 10 years later, you look up and you're like, dude, I can't even see any sunlight from the sky anymore. Like I'm so deep far down. I can't crawl myself out of here anymore. That's sad. So I don't know. Again, just try to Try to do things to bring a little bit of joy into your life. Go to therapy. Like for me, bring a little bit of joy into my life is I like to go for hikes. I love to be in the sunshine. I love to be around water. I love plants. As you can see, I'll go buy a new plant when I'm feeling sad. So those little things, those external things do help, again, to like just ignite. It's like turning on the stove. You know, there's a little bit of gas coming through and you're like, and then finally it's like, oh, I went hiking, or oh, I bought a new plant, or oh, I just watched my favorite podcast, Coffee Breath podcast. And then it's like all of a sudden there's the flame and it ignites. And then that tiny little flame, then I'm able to carry that around through the next couple of days. And then you know what? I might have another bad day, and that's okay. And then I'll go do something else that brings me joy. I'll go over to like a local little lake area. It's like a really tiny lake in Orland Park, and I'll go there and I'll read my book, or maybe I'll do some yoga by the water, or like I'll meditate. And that again helps to, you know, it's like that and then the boom, and the flame comes on, and then I can help feed that flame. And then hopefully I light on fire and I'm like a phoenix, and then I just live my best fucking life. So hopefully you do that too. All right, next one. Let's see where we are on time. All right. Let's do... Why am I so sensitive? I'm way too sensitive and I hate it. Nearly every time I receive constructive criticism that I know is beneficial, I still beat myself up over it, even though I know the intention behind it is good. Someone could call me stupid asshole over the internet, and even though I know there's some stranger who is completely irrelevant to my life, it still bothers me for a really long time. Someone could flip me off while I'm driving, and it'll bother me for the next few days, even though I know it shouldn't. I hate it so much, and it's starting to really disturb my life and overall happiness. Does anyone have any advice on how to work on mental toughness so I'm not so sensitive anymore? Thanks. First off, sweetie, sensitivity is a strength, so try not to think of it as a weakness. That is not being... I feel like the word sensitive it has so many meanings nowadays, and so many like connotations and so many stigmas behind it, that let's not call this type being sensitive. Let's call it thin-skinned, which I know you're probably thinking, well, Taylor, technically that's being sensitive. Yeah, but sensitivity could be like, hey, you know, for example, my roommate, God love him, but he bought lavender scented toilet paper. And let me tell you, it's not adapting well with my female anatomy. And I'm a little too sensitive. I have a sensitivity. Or maybe walking through the mall, which I don't do anymore. Don't do that, people, especially during the pandy. I don't know why the mall parking lot is constantly filled now. But walking through the mall, you know, you go through the like Macy's or whatever, and there's all the perfumes. I have a sensitivity to those smells. It gives me a headache. It makes me want to vomit. It makes the world spin for me. So that, you know, or I have a sensitivity to gluten or sensitivity to dairy or whatever. So like there's different types of sensitivities. Or like there's sensory sensitivities. You name it, etc. I don't know why I keep trying to come up with other examples of it. But this, honey, this is being thin-skinned, which is not a bad, it's not like it's a total bad thing. It's just what I've learned as someone who literally feels like I wrote this needed advice, this needed question. You've gotta grow a little thicker, tougher skin. Not meaning like you need to become a concrete, like marble granite statue that nobody can penetrate, like, and get into your heart, or like you're never gonna feel happiness or joy or warmth ever again. No, don't become a cold, bitter person and close yourself off, but just grow a little thicker skin. It's almost like wearing, like knights back in the medieval days. They didn't just go fight wars, with their giant swords and stuff, just naked. Now there were some civilizations that did, some armies that did. They would have like erections, and they would just run with their swords and their other swords on their their member into battle, and that would like literally, it would be a scare tactic. This is history. I'm not making this up. I'm not just trying to be gross. It's history. You can learn about it. But anyways, getting back to the medieval days. So if you had, if you didn't have any chain link or armor on yourself, then you're going to get penetrated. You're going to get killed. You're going to get sliced and diced. So it's kind of like that. Like, put some chain link on yourself, girl or boy, or, whoever you are, because people are people, and people can be assholes. People can be great. They can be everything in between. And a lot of shit goes on in the world, and you cannot let everything affect you. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to. You can't let everything affect you, because it will. If you open yourself up to it, it will destroy you, and it'll put you into a spiraling depression of just that existentialist like depression, So yeah, you got to grow a little thicker skin. Now, with the constructive criticism, it's beneficial, and you still beat yourself up over it, even though, the intention behind it is good. Or if somebody is on the internet and they call her an asshole, or him or her, a name, or they're like, you're ugly or whatever. What other people say about you, is none of your business. Now, if they say it to you, that's a little different. But like, what other people think or say about you is none of your business, because everyone's going to have a different perception. Or people might just be being trolls out in the world and just trying to, hurt people. But only you can allow yourself to feel that pain. Now, if we're talking about like racial slurs and racism, or any kind of like transphobia or homophobia, anything like that is, I'm not touching that, because that is totally different than what I'm talking about. What I guess I'm talking about is just little things like, let's just use myself as an example, because that's really all I can use, right? Or my own experiences. So, if somebody calls me ugly on the internet, like say I get a comment on this video, and it's like, oh, she's so ugly. Like, oh, her skin's the worst. Well, if I didn't think that I was ugly, it won't bother me, right? So if I read that comment, oh, she's so ugly, I might be like, oh, you know what? People suck. Like, why would you say something like that? And I might feel that way. But if I feel confident in myself, if I love myself, if I know that what other people think or say about me doesn't really matter, and only what I think and feel and say about myself matters, then that comment can't hurt me. Baby, it can't penetrate that chink, that male, am I saying it wrong all along? Chink mail? Oh wait, that's not it. What am I trying to say? Oh my God, what is that armor? I have to look this up now, because now I feel like I'm saying something that is very inappropriate. What is it? Medieval armor. Oh my God, anyways, you know what I'm trying to say. I can't even look it up. Okay, but yeah, so, if you have that armor on yourself, if you have that thicker skin, then their words can't penetrate you. Like sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words will never hurt me. Except sometimes I do let them hurt me, because I already think those things about myself. Does that make sense? So again, if it's somebody's like, oh, you're so ugly. If I don't think that about myself, then I'm be like, like, oh yeah, that was a rude thing to say to somebody. And then I go on with my day and I don't think about it ever again. But if I have this, like this low self-worth or this low self-esteem, or I don't, when I look in the mirror, I don't see a beautiful woman, all I see is like, oh man, you're so ugly, your skin, I pick this apart about myself and I pick this apart about myself, then yeah, if somebody calls me ugly, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, that hits deep because I am ugly, right? I hope that makes sense. I'm the worst at explaining things. I'm a Gemini. Apparently, I'm supposed to be great at communication, but I suck at it. But again, I'm hoping that this just, I hope this platform, I hope doing this just helps me evolve and grow with it. But getting back to that advice, let me pull it up again. Yeah, grow just a little bit thicker skin. You need to do a lot of self-work, which it's not easy because you got to look at those deep, shadowy parts about yourself that, again, are hard pills to swallow and they're sometimes hard to look at. But you got to do it because you want to grow. You want to be the best version of yourself so that way you can live the best life for yourself. Still working on it for myself, but again, giving you the advice and also trying to take it for myself. Now I totally feel this, like when this person said someone could flip me off while driving, I know it'll bother me for the next few days, even though I know it shouldn't. I'm that kind of person too. And I think I talked about that on an earlier, maybe the first, second, or third episode, that I have like a hard time metabolizing and like processing things. So if I, maybe get into one of those kind of traffic little, like, you're like, I fucking bitch, and you flip somebody off or whatever, and you cut them off, I'll think about that. I will literally be like so tense about that, driving all the way, the rest of the way home, or, laying in bed the rest of the night. I'll be thinking about it. And it's like, why? Why can't I just get past that? Why can't I metabolize that? Maybe that's something to talk to. Again, everyone should just go to therapy. But the hard part about that is you got to find a really good therapist. So make sure that, do some vetting on your therapists. Because remember that they're people too. But yeah, mental toughness. You have to be very real with yourself because it all comes back down to you and how you feel about yourself and how you feel about how you're living your life in the world. Because again, if somebody says something nasty to you about you, it can only affect you if you think that way. If you agree, it's like almost like this unwritten agreement or something. Like, oh yes, I agree that I'm an ugly person. So, oof, those words hurt me. But you're not ugly, so don't think that. But yeah, that's hard. And especially when you're young. I don't know how old this person is, but it's hard when you're younger too. Especially now for kids. I'm so glad, like, we grew up with a little bit of social media. Like, we had MySpace. Facebook came out, I want to say, when I was, 2007? So I was going into college, my first year of college. But yeah, kids nowadays with social media I feel like everyone's trying to be somebody or be something, and there's a lot of bullying online. Like, imagine going to school back in the day. You go to school, you see your friends. Maybe somebody says something nasty in the hallway. There's always bullies. There's always jerks in the world. And they're only probably like that because their parents were probably shitty to them, or somebody in their lives was shitty to them. Hurt people. But imagine going to school back in the day and you go, you have your experiences with your classmates, and then you go home, and then that's it. Unless maybe somebody calls your house and is like, you're fat today, like, no. But nowadays, you post a picture after school, and then everybody can comment, or, or maybe you don't get enough likes, and then that's hard. Or you don't get, I don't know. It's just, I guess what I'm trying to say is that social media, growing up with that now, I don't understand, and I understand that I will never understand, and I'm very grateful that I grew up with the very limited amount of social media that we had. But we also had things like AIM, like that instant messenger on AOL. That, that was like our texting. That was how you texted. Now I'm just going off on a whole other tangent. But yeah, just if you're trying not to be so sensitive, try to just grow a little bit thicker skin and, fake it till you make it. Try to have a little bit more confidence within yourself, because then, again, nobody can penetrate that armor on you. But that all, I think, will also come the older that you get, the more experiences that you have, the more that you have those experiences that you live and learn from. So that all comes with time too. Because I only started to grow a thicker skin like when I was 29, 30 maybe. So if you can start at a younger age for not, accepting bullshit into your life, I think that's the best. But no matter what time that it happens for you, no matter what age, do your best to not allow bullshit into your life. So that's my somewhat helpful advice for today's segment on this episode, or on this podcast, whatever I'm trying to say. I've had too much coffee. I don't know why I'm wearing a hoodie. If you're listening to this, I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm sweating profusely, so that's fun. All right, but I know that I didn't do tarot last time, so we have to do it this time because, well, not that we have to do it, just that we need to bring that back, because I did such a long episode last time that I don't know, I got really excited and then I kind of like blacked out from it because I don't know why. It's not like blacking out like when I'm drunk or anything, but sometimes when I get so excited, or I'll get done recording these episodes and I'll be like, what the fuck did I even talk about? Oh my God, what did I even say? But then I go back and I edit and, upload and stuff, and I rewatch it and I'm like, oh yeah, I must have like blacked out for that. But all right, so again, you can submit any questions if you need some somewhat helpful advice. I think that'll be a fun segment on the podcast. All right, so I'm going to shuffle this one more time, asking the question, what do we need to see today? I'm going to split the deck into 3, putting it back just into one pile, and I'm going to pick that first card. Ooh. So we have the 2 of Cups, and cups are based in emotion. I remember that. Again, I'm not the best at tarot. I'm trying to get a little bit better. There's just so much. It's like astrology. It's just, I need to take like a course. Like I need to go to some school for this, because it's just, there's so much, so detailed and in depth. But for today, 2 of Cups. This is connection, love, and romance. Say hello to the much adored 2 of Cups. When this card appears, you can anticipate new love to be heading your way. And yes, this usually means romance, but sometimes it points to the birth of a dear and lasting friendship. Either way, the connection between you will be pure, honest, and solid. Open your heart and get ready. Oh, well, that sounds nice. I don't need any romance because I already got that in my life, so I'll take a friendship, and maybe, who knows, maybe that's gonna happen down the road, or maybe they're talking about us in this podcast, you and I hanging out, sharing this, you spending what is this, like 30 minutes in that one episode, an hour with me. So that I would consider that being friends. Or maybe, it's something for you. Maybe something's gonna come into your life No, again, that's kind of hard during the pandy, so good luck with that. But yeah, so thank you for hanging out with me today. Hope now I'm starting to lose it. Now the time where my tongue is literally getting tied. All right, so thank you for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, it would really help out, and I would be much appreciated if you give this episode, especially on, I don't know what you can do on Spotify. I don't think there's like a like button or anything, but if you're watching this on YouTube, definitely give it a like, leave a comment down below. If you wanna drop in, subscribe, bells on, so you get the notifications. Again, getting tongue twisted. Follow on Instagram at Coffee Breath Pod, and I will see you in the next one. All right, peace.